Welcome back, traders. Today we're going to be talking about XAUUSD, and we're going to pick up from where we left off last week Monday. So week today we did a video looking at gold, and we're going to pick up from where we left off on that, right? So if you're new here, make sure you smash that subscribe button, turn on the notification, and drop us a like. So we're just going to get straight into where we left off. Now, if you saw the thumb for that Monday video, you would have seen that I would have said this is where you want to think about taking a buy, right? So all this area right here had not taken place. All this hadn't happened. It was just the market was somewhere down here, and obviously that's what we was looking at. Now, what I pointed out, so what these levels kind of correspond with, if I go back here and I turn this on, is it corresponds with the low value areas of the market, right? Low value areas of the market. This is set for the month. So when price was doing whatever price was doing, which was bouncing up and down, right? The most logical move that I could think of if I was trading gold at that point, right? If I was trading gold at that point, what I would have done was on that morning, I probably would have got in on, because what time was it when I did the recording? What time was it? I'm just checking the time when I actually did the recording because it was quite early, 6. So it was about here somewhere, right? By the time I had done and then I grabbed the screenshot, it was maybe around here somewhere, give or take, right? I probably would have taken, say, this candle over here, right? I would have taken, say, this candle over here. Just highlight one of these candles over here. Then I would have ridden it to the upside in hope that it was going to make it to this low value node up here, right? This one right here, right? I would have thought price was going to be heading up into that direction, right? Price got close, but it didn't go into it, right? So then for the rest of that week, price then began to move away from that the low value node area, and then it then trickled all the way down, and then last week Thursday it then finally broke all the way down, and then obviously closed below this low value node area, right? So if I go in here and I just turn this off again, and we can see that we have, actually wait, let me just put this back on again and make sure that I've got it right. All right, so if how price is behaving, let me just cover this entire low value node area. Let me just cover it all up. Okay, let's drag this across. Now this ascending wedge that we have right here is now beginning to make a bit of sense. So let me just turn off these again. Let's turn these off, right? Let's get rid of this for now because that's no longer relevant. Same as that, right? And also as well, some of the stuff that I talk about on this channel in regards to how we navigate it, you should have seen a move, hence why your views of this area right here should be strengthened in terms of where you think market is going to go. Just by looking at this, I have a strong idea that market at some point will be coming down, right? So market will be coming down, in my opinion. Like I say, I'm not a financial advisor. I do expect you to do the work to make sure that everything you're hearing makes a lot of sense to you before you go and obviously start taking positions in the market. So let me just draw the channel that I can see in this area, so at least you guys can see what I'm referring to. So this is a channel that I'm seeing right now, okay? Now, going off and bearing in mind, this is not a bulletproof system to say that this is definitely going to happen, but we do want to factor it in, right? So going off the fact that this low value node area, okay, right, price is now in it. I'm not expecting price to peak too far above, right? I'm not expecting a major close above this zone right here. and the zone in question. And like I said, when you're using volume profile and you're marking out low value node areas, right, it is a bit of an art. So it's not a science, it's a bit of an art. So it's how you kind of configured all of this, the data points that you're looking for, that will basically help you determine what is what. So depending on what data I put into this, right, maybe the low value node could be all the way down here, or it could be all the way up here. It just depends, right? So I've set mines up in a particular kind of way. You're probably thinking maybe I should tell you how I set it up. I'm not going to do that, because bottom line is I want you guys to do the work. This is the only time, this is the only way that you improve. That's how I improved. That's how most traders improve, which is we give you the general concept as to what is possible, and then what you then do is you then run along, you use your brain, right, because you've got a very powerful brain inside of your head, right, and you then figure out your own way of making everything work for you. And 9 out of 10 times of you trying it, you're going to be right. You're going to be right, because you're going to understand what it is that you're doing and how that you're doing it, supposing to just following someone telling you a whole bunch of stuff, right? So that's what I want for you. So I'm not big on just handing out answers, because in all fairness, I don't know the answer either, right? I'm just learning as much as you are. So it kind of safeguards me from misleading you into doing the wrong things. I just point out what I think is kind of working. You then run off and do research to make sure that it does make sense, and if it does, then boom, you run with it, right? So going off what we're looking at right now, so let's look at a couple key points in what's happening in this area before I refer back to this zone that I've just pointed out to you guys, right? So the first thing that we also want to notice, well, the second thing we want to notice is that we have a close below the weekly low, right? So price has gone below the weekly low, it's come back into it, okay? But as it stands right now, based on, so let me just put this here, let me just drop this here for now, we'll remove it later, okay? So we can see price right now is just peaked above the weekly low of last week, right, which we got last week, Wednesday the 25th of April, right? So it's just peaked below that, or I should say last week, because we're going to be using weekly lows and weekly highs from this week moving forward, once I've kind of explained what I'm explaining. So we kind of got a peak above this right now. So what we're kind of waiting for is, this is where we got to be a little bit more patient, right? We need to wait for gold to do whatever it is doing in this area right now. We need it to finish doing whatever it is doing, and we don't need to be in a hurry, right? So we can see there's a channel here. We can see this channel, and we can see this right here. We know gold is inside of it, and what we need to wait and see for gold to do is if it's going to make his way down to this level down here, okay? If we get a close above this level over here, right, then I would want 2 candle closes, right, moving kind of like this, one here and then another one here. I kind of want something like that, and I would take the second candle. So let me just do that again. Candle, the second one or the third one is the one that I will take if it closes above here, to say that I'm going to ride it to the upside, okay? But bottom line is, based on what I'm seeing right now, I'm kind of expecting price to push down a little bit more. That's what I think. So with that said and done, let's get rid of this over here. We don't need that anymore, okay? We've got the zone, so that's clear on your chart, so you can always pause that and take down the numbers, and then obviously place them on your own personal charts. The next thing that I also want to look at as well is this low value node right here, right? Because this is where, because now that we have an idea what direction price is heading into, we now need to see where it could go, right? Where it could go. So this is where everything starts to make a bit more sense in terms of structures and explosive moves, right? So we know there isn't a lot of price sitting, there isn't a lot of trade sitting in this area right now. There's a couple, but there isn't a lot. These are passive orders, and they bounce between buys and sells, but they're all sitting in this area right here, okay, right? Same as in this area right here, right? These are passive orders. So some are buys, some are sells, and they're just kind of sitting in there, right? Now, what usually happens is price will blast through these zones if it has no resistance in there. Hence why we saw that move where it flew all the way down, right through it, bounced at the bottom, it's bounced up, it's within the zone now. I'm expecting it to come this way, right? But at the same time, I don't know when it's going to do that, because it could do this and then come down, or it could just do this and then come down, right? That's very easy. But when it gets to this area right here, I'm expecting it to fly all the way through. With no resistance. This is where you're going to make your biggest amount of profits, right? When it flies through this zone. At the same time, it could just fly through, touch this level right here, and decide it wants to push back up again. That is something that is very plausible and can happen. So you kind of want to bear this in mind, right? So moving forward, let me just adjust this area real quick, so at least we can have a look to see what we really need to be focused on for this week moving forward, right? We need to keep an eye on the proper stuff. And like I said, if you're enjoying the video, right, you're finding the content useful, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification, and drop us a like, right? All of these things will be appreciated, and I definitely will appreciate you for you doing that. So as it stands right now, we're going to lock in the weekly highs and the weekly lows, right? So we had a weekly high that was set for us in the early hours, in the late and early hours of Monday and Tuesday, and that is it right here. Right? And then we have the weekly low that was set for us on Thursday just gone. Right? And like I always say, when it comes to these levels, so weekly high, weekly low. Like I always say, when it comes to these levels, if price closes below those levels, I am looking for moves in a corresponding direction. Okay, I'm looking for moves in a corresponding direction, and in most cases it works out. So I get it more right with this system than I do getting it wrong, right? Not to say that I never get it wrong. All you have to do is go back and look at some of my past videos, and you can see that sometimes the weekly highs and weekly lows, they do play around with you. If you're looking for a foolproof system, I'm going to be the first to tell you that I don't think I found that one yet, right? And if I have, then obviously, I mean, that'll probably be part of some type of a program that we'll be talking about, but I haven't found it, so there is no program, right? Okay, so weekly high is set for us at 33.54.68. Weekly low set for us at 32.02.56. If any of these levels are taken out, I'm looking for moves in the corresponding direction, which is I'm moving in the direction that is closing. So last week, this weekly low area right here, okay, was taken out last week, just gone. So previous week, last week, this is the move that happened here. Price is now up here. So in my mind, this is the zone that I would be looking to take sales from, right? So I'll be looking to take sales from this location. It will be under the low value node area, okay, and it will be outside of this structure. So that will give me the confirmation that I need to say that I can, at the bare minimum, have price come all the way down. So this is the area that I will be looking to take sales from. And once again, not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. So make sure everything makes sense before you do it. And that level in question is 32.21.66, right? So that's the shout out for this week in terms of where I think everything is going to go. Make sure if you do find my content useful, that you have hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification, and drop us a like. And make sure that you're definitely using weekly lows and weekly highs to guide you through the market. It really does help. And on that note, I will see all of you peoples again on the next one.